Scott, I was talking to Coach Helfrich yesterday about the value of practice during the week. Can you maybe talk about that dynamic of taking the practice into the game as far as your scout teams and how valuable they are?
Last week, I thought scout teams did an unbelievable job. Obviously, they're a little different on defense and offense than what we're used to doing, so our scout teams had to take on a different role. And I thought all those guys did an unbelievable job of preparing us. So that's critical for our practices so that we can execute against the looks that we need.
What are some of those tangible things that you expect and that you hope to get out of the scout team to prepare you for a team like Stanford or even USC?
Well, at bare minimum, you want them lined up in the same spots and giving you the same look. I think we have a bunch of really good, young, talented players on this team that are going to play around here a lot in the future. And when you have some talented guys that are giving you a look, that's even better.
Yesterday, Helfrich said the biggest challenge for this team is kind of moving on from the emotional win, and then once you look at the film from USC, he said that you guys are slapped in the face with how good they are. What are you seeing out of SC right now?
They're really talented. They get a lot of good players out of Southern California. They get players from everywhere. I think talent-wise, they're as good as any team we've played. So we have to make sure and play fast and execute and do the things that we do well. They definitely have a lot of good athletes on the field.
They do have two big linebackers that went out against Colorado, Cameron Smith and Lamar Dawson. Do you think that's going to be able to allow you guys to run the ball possibly more?
We'll see. I didn't expect to run it as well as we did on Stanford early, and we really creased them early in the run game. If the run game gets going, it opens everything up. I know that they're going to have other athletes there, and it's a tough break for them with injuries, but that's college football. When you're playing this many games, you're inevitably going to lose guys. So I'm sure they'll have the next man up and ready to go.
The last few weeks, you've seen more than one running back get a lot of carries in games. Have you seen a noticeable difference for all your running backs later into the game?
Well, 2 weeks ago we ran 99 plays, and so we had to use a lot of those guys. Last week we ran 48 plays. So a couple guys that are really talented didn't get out there. Tony Brooks-James didn't get out there. Kanai only had a few carries. But those guys made those plays count in the Stanford game. So it just kind of depends on how many reps we take, and if it's a 90-play game, you're going to see all those guys.
Scott, over the last 4 weeks or so, you guys have really been on the rise, winning game after game, and then beating Stanford, who was kind of the king of the conference at that point. How validating was that win against Stanford?
I got a ton of respect for Stanford and their program. I think they do what they do as well as anyone. I think they're disciplined and well coached. Those have been battles as long as I've been here with Stanford. We've haven't arrived, but we've come a long way as a team if we're able to go down to their place and get that win.
It's funny at this point in the season, we all thought the Oregon-SC matchup was possibly a preview of the Pac-12 championship at the beginning of the season. USC, a lot of adversity, but is this still the same team that you thought was going to be so good at the beginning of the season?
Yeah, I think both teams have had some obstacles to overcome this year. Obviously, they've had some unique situations down there. We've had to fight through some things here. Both teams are hot right now, so both teams are probably looking back at some games earlier in the year and wishing they could have them back, but I know it's two really talented teams that are going to be playing on the field Saturday.
Scott, from the eye test, the tempo on Saturday was probably the best we've seen all year for your offense. Are you pretty happy with the way the offense plays as far as speed and tempo goes in that game?
I would say, speed and tempo was good. We can go faster than that. The thing we had to do in that game was execute, and we executed just enough to get it done. There's still some things we can clean up, but we got 48 snaps, and I don't know what the yards per play was, but I know it was pretty good, and that's how you have to play. If you're only going to get 48, you have to take advantage of the ones you have. So execution was paramount last Saturday.
So on the Fox television broadcast of the game, they showed the booth, and it looked like Phil Knight was sitting next to you with a headset on. Was that something new, or had that happened before?
No, that's not news to me. I see Phil a lot, and everybody can rest assured if he gets unruly up there, I'll throw him out of the box.
What's it like sitting next to a billionaire while you're trying to call offensive plays?
I don't even notice. I got my guys up there that I need to be feeding me information, and I'm so focused on the game that I think Mickey Mouse and Elvis could both be in the box and I wouldn't pay any attention.
Is he on the same channel as you? Is he listening?
Phil's our number one fan. I think there's some people that would be in his position that could be intrusive, and he's never that. He's just our number one fan and supporter. We love having him around, and yeah, he does a lot of listening and not very much talking.
Some of the blocking you got from Devin, Darren, how would you characterize the receiver blocking and how the role it played and just how it fit? How well have they done all season? Was that any better than, more productive than they'd been?
I think blocking for our receivers is one of the trademarks of what we do. It allows us to spring some big runs that wouldn't otherwise be big. These guys have carried the mantle of that, from LT Tuinei and Josh Huff to Jeff Mayle and Drew Davis to Keenan Lowe. These guys are operating the same way, and that's important for us. I think our team gets tired of hearing how physical Stanford is, and across the board from our O-line to our receivers, they wanted to go out and win the game physically.
You mentioned all those guys. Is there somebody that's taken the mantle from like Keenan last year and is setting the tone this year?
All those guys have. Devin had a block on Charles' big run. Darren knocked someone out of the game on Bayless's catch. Braylon had a couple big blocks. Dwayne is always blocking well and doing some things that people don't realize. So those guys take pride in that.
Coach Helfrich said that there's familiarity with some of USC's players because you guys recruited a lot of them. How much do you guys get out of that, recruiting players a couple of years down the road when you play them?
We see players we recruit all across the league. We probably battle with SC as much as anyone, but so we're familiar with some of the kids. That doesn't really help you. They're going to put their kids into their scheme, and we have to execute no matter who's on the field against whatever they're doing.
4 out of the last 5 games, happy endings. The offense has had the ball, the chance to seal the win, but couldn't get first downs. Just how do you evaluate that? Was it poor I mentioned a combination of a lot of things. Poor execution, maybe. It seems like mostly running inside rather than outside. So I know it's frustrating for you, I'm sure, because you could have.
Yeah, definitely. We had the ball in their half of the field. In our second to last possession, had a chance to score a touchdown and put the game away. Then we got the ball back with very little time left, and 1 first down would have got it done. Those are, as well as we played, there's still things we can fix. And whether it's getting them in different plays or executing a little better, we definitely need to take advantage of that when we have a chance to on offense.
My follow-up is the layman fan, and I know they don't. A lot of fans don't know much, even a 100th or 1,000th of what you know, but it's like they say, why are we running Freeman inside, on those kind of situations instead of getting the ball to a speed back or something?
It's a chess game. We ran outside once when they were blitzing inside, and we had a long run. We ran inside when they had odd and had outside backers holding the edges, and we creased them inside. First down on that last drive, we tried to run it inside, and they zero blitz both backers up the middle. I think Lance, their defensive coordinator, is as good a coach as there is in our league, and it's always a chess game with those guys, and on that series they won.
Adoree Jackson is a player that can play both ways. Yesterday, Mark Helfrich kind of referred to him as the Charles Nelson of USC. What kind of challenge do you think he's going to present to both sides of the ball?
Well, there's some special athletes in this league. I think this league is really good top to bottom. It's a shame the situation we're in. I think there's too many good teams in this league that everybody's beating each other. Adoree and Charles are both special players. Anytime you can play 2 ways at this level of football, it means you're a pretty special football player.
You guys feel like you're playing better than any team in the conference right now?
That's hard to say. I've said this all year. I think week in and week out, almost anybody in this league can beat almost anybody else. Colorado's been close to beating us, USC, UCLA. We've been in 5 games now where it came down to the last play of the game. So this is a really good league top to bottom, and I think every week you got to come and show up with your best or you can get beat.
You ever hear from the defensive coaches, hey, could you take a little longer to score? Give us a rest.
Some of the stats in that game are outliers. As long as they had the ball, as many rushing yards as they had, as few snaps as we got. It was an interesting game, and I give a ton of credit to Stanford for managing their game plan as well as they did, and our athletes were just able to make enough plays to get it done.
It kind of felt like the Stanford game was a culmination of what you guys have been working towards the last 4 weeks. How do you guard against, after a big win like that, a hangover effect against USC? Is that something you guys talk about in practice this week?
We'll remind them. I know a few years ago we beat Stanford on the road, and USC wasn't at the top of the league, and then they came up here and beat us the next week. You know, the good thing is our kids were really excited after that win, but, you know, I didn't see them acting like they just won the Super Bowl. I think our kids expected to go down there and win if they played well, and we had a really good practice today, so I think they're on to the next game and focused on what we have going forward.
After the game, Vernon said that the identity of this team now compared to where it was at the beginning of the season is it's more old-fashioned Duck football, playing fast, creating that upbeat tempo. Do you feel like you guys have kind of found that rhythm and that identity again?
Yeah, I think we have a lot of young players on the team that have grown up over the course of the year, and I think we've improved across the board. And, you know, just getting the same guy at the quarterback position for 4 games in a row has made a big difference for us.
Thank you.